I'm hoping the table's not shaking, and it is dark, but there's less glare. How are we all? Those of you who are new, very warm welcome. We're going to tune into the Pisces twin flame. We also have Sagittarius today. And then I'm going to do a collective energy update to check in with the divine masculine and feminine. I may do two. I might do one for the feminine, one for the masculine, because I think, especially with the 20th, we are actually looking at the energies of the masculine and feminine energy. They're almost on the equinox on the 20th where the moon is and the sun. It's like the feminine and the masculine are going to be going through a mass transformation. Very interesting when you look at the energy that is going to be coming through with the moon. It is the last, it's a different frequency, I'll put it that way, but it is quite interesting what's coming up for the collective at the moment. Hi, Luciana. Yet again, I didn't get to speak to Jen. Lots of movement at the moment, I think, for everyone collectively. We're really going through a very, very quick shift, and we're trying to get our crap together. We're trying to get to the point that we're having that movement and being guided accordingly to actually be in the right place at the right time, get the things done on time. The 5-minute interval tasks that I was explaining to those of you who have been connected to me for a long time, it's like, you know, if you've got something you can do and it's only going to take you 5 minutes, get it done. It's very fast-paced energy. And we do run the risk that if there is, you know, twin flame coming in towards us or other situations that we're needing to tie up in a sense of loose ends, it's going to be extremely relevant at the moment. Now, interestingly enough, Mercury will be still retrograde during the time of the moon, but it's still quite direct energy when it comes to that. And every read I did for the beginning of the month, very much the throat chakra cards were upright, which is interesting because we're in Mercury retrograde. But it's that effective, assertive communication that we're having come through. It's also the intuitive aspects of ourselves where we're tuning into what we think is right for us. Now, it's really interesting. I do find as a reader that when we do go through big transits or heavy transits, it's really interesting when you listen to other readers and their perspective and perception, and it always does correlate with what is going on with our life as well. But it's very healthy to be in the thick of things because you do get a lot of downloads, and then to step back, watch other people's perspective, and then come back to self. You know, you've really got to have that time to go, okay, there's a lot going on right now. What do I need to do to gain clarity and perspective? Or am I in the thick of it so much that my perspective and perception, I'm giving my power away and I'm actually listening to a reader, but I'm listening to it to the point, because it all will be very individual to us unless we can directly get a private reading. Now, some of the energies coming through is fair-based frequencies that there's not movement. Now, the 3D sometimes is almost like a facade. It's like, yeah, there's no movement. Masculine's not moving. We're always moving. But you've got to remember, if you listen to a reading and it's telling you, that's it, walk away. It can be your perspective. It's got to come from your perspective. What are you walking away from? The responsibility of another person's energy, 100%. The actual direct dynamic, not necessarily. So you've got to be really careful about what you're taking on board when you're listening to readers. Because especially in a twin flame journey, we are, especially with the astrology at the moment, going through a stage where we're saying, okay, what's on our side of the fence that we need to take accountability for? What's on their side of the fence that is their energy, but we're buying into like the old way of doing things, the codependent patterns seeping in. But it's because we're thinking we energetically have to do a particular thing in order to get what we want. Those were the old patterns. With the moon reaching 0 degrees, when you look at it, the shadow aspect, hi Dale, the shadow aspect of Libra is Aries. The node, Chiron is going to be in Aries. You know, there's a lot of energy of, and, you know, Aries being the first zodiac sign. So the 0 degree of Libra in the full moon is very much a fresh start. The Aries frequency, interestingly enough, being in Chiron, is the first, it's like the beginning state of the zodiac. Again, a new beginning, a new cycle. So it's really, really stating, hey, a new cycle is going to come through. How that comes about is divinely guided, but it can come through very abruptly. Trust in the process. This is an energy that's moving into the 20th. So that's going to be very relevant for all of us. Intuitively, some of the frequencies we're picking up is very heavy, very panicked energy at times. Some of the energy is ours, some of it isn't. A lot of it is because we're all really changing. So we're almost like, okay, the deer walking through the woods and going, okay, what's coming this time? Is it going to be any better? Is there going to be that direct forward movement, or are we getting the same pie? Are we getting the same storyline? Not necessarily, but if you're relating to it in the same way, yes, you are. But there can be energies of a purge that's coming up that you're actually changing. A lot of twins, you'll find that if you've been doing the work, it's almost reinstating to you that you can't go back to the old way of relating to situations. So when you're looking at it, you could be thinking and being very critical of yourself, saying, I haven't changed. Oh, God, I'm going back to that paradigm, or I'm going back to that little Ferris wheel. Not necessarily, because at some point you do, very much in the beginning stages of the journey, it's that emotionally charged and driven that you've moved hell and high water. The more you work on your sense of value, which is always the key in any connection, be it you choose to be in your twin flame journey or you don't, once you can actually understand your self-worth and know where your trigger points are coming from and work on those, you've come to a place of self-awareness. So you're not willing to sell your soul to the Ferris wheel, because you can understand and have compassion that situations are a process. You can sniff a rat. Come back to that place. Understand that you don't have to go back to the game, which at times can feel that it is a game. It's like, okay, chess move. If I move this way, it's a bit like alchemization. You're trying to use the science of the situation to find out what isn't working and what is. So a lot of it will correlate with what's going on with you vibrationally, and it will systematically come through in the connection or people around you. When you do that work, it's like a mathematical equation. You're fine-tuning yourself as a whole person. So the way you relate to these people is going to be different. But it's like you're shifting around the situation, and one could say at times it's a way we learn, right? But it can be we're thinking, gee, we really pussyfooted around that, didn't we? We could have just jumped in straight in and said, hey, this is what it is. But because we're learning and we knew there was a consequence, we would relate to it in a different, compassionate way, understanding. We would educate ourselves through that process. Now the way we're seeing it, it can be very harsh because we are coming from singular energies. In doing that, come back to that awareness state and understand that if you've done the work, and all of us have work for the rest of our life, it's a given, that even as human beings, all of us collectively, if you are self-aware enough to know what your worth is and you feel you're shifting out of that, you won't energetically be able to keep on that Ferris wheel. So you will become frustrated and you will get to a point where you will speak your truth and say, hey, I get what you're saying. I understand your perspective. Yes, we have history. Yeah, theoretically, this is a new situation, but there's process to it. There is a process to it. So part of the frustration is for particular groups, they've done the work and you're then relating to it from that perspective. However, potentially on both sides of the fence, as well as perhaps on one side of the fence, that karmic cycle is still being cleaned up. So the fear-based frequencies and the old ways of doing things can feel like they're seeping back in. It's requiring patience. You know, the total eclipse in January is very much correlating with that transition, that transitional state of ending cycles. The moon energy coming in, a new cycle. We have a lot of new energy coming in this year. We do have more eclipses. We do have a lot of changes coming. But it's the steps you need to take to make that happen. So, you know, some readers will actually channel that energy, and that's really what you've got to understand from a psychic. You know, I'm a psychic medium. I do not need cards. If I'm tuning into you directly or to the energy energetically, it's really the signs, the synchronicities, the visions that I get that I bring to you. Look at it as when you hear a reading and it's saying to you, look, you need to walk away. It can be true, the vibration of ownership. It can be to the point when they're saying a new energy is coming towards you. Understand we are new people every day. You know, as the Leo King says, the only thing that's consistent is the sun, because it comes up. Yes, it could blow up theoretically, but let's look at the one consistency. It's the moon and the sun, right? It's going to come up the next day. If we drop the notion, which is the fear-based frequency, what if it doesn't work? The sun's going to come up tomorrow, try again, better day. What if we lose our job? The sun's going to come up, we'll try that again. There is nothing guaranteed. So when we're conditioned, we believe that if we create a sure environment, we're safe, and it's a total lie. You pick your poison. I said that to my friend the other day. I picked my poison and it's you. And that's not a toxic thing. It's I chose my path, but my path is also me. You can't forget yourself. So we do get in the initial stages absorbed into it so much so that you become the rescuer or you become the victim. And we all do this, and we will for the rest of our lives. It's a part of learning. It's not that it's a bad frequency. It's an education system, and it's part of our pain body experience. So we need to be gentle with ourselves. But when we're willing to and wanting to work on ourselves, we can evolve. Look at your life right now as that. If something is out of balance, then at some point, like a pressure cooker, you won't tolerate it. You know, it's the end. It's the revolution and the evolution of your transformation. You're transforming, and you need to be okay with that. Because you can't stay stagnant. So movement is always happening, but while you're preventing it because of fear-based frequency, you're thinking, yeah, are they ready? Are you ready? If you're ready, by reshifting the energy back onto you, there's still movement. You can't open it. It's going to break. You're going to have to wait. I'm sorry. Who? Tell her I'll be 5. We'll get into the reading. I've got a very hectic day, and I'll come back again. Okay, so the energy coming through, what is working for you, Pisces, is actually addressing the areas of toxicity. So you need to be honest. This can be on your side of the fence or their side of the fence. What's balanced, what's not? What do you need to let go of? It doesn't mean it's an ending. It means you need to let go of the responsibility, the belief that it can't change, and trust in the process. Most of what was successful in my journey was detaching from the outcome and understanding that things can change. While you're tuning into that, you're manifesting it. So what will work for Pisces is if they're blocked and their twin is in toxicity, you looking at them as the victim will not help the situation. You thinking perhaps that a toxic situation will not end, deal with it, look at it truthfully, and then release it and allow universe to assist you. What's blocking that can be potentially a mother, father figure, or bringing something to fruition. It might be from childhood. There's some wounds coming up, and a lot of us are regressing backwards. So there can be old wounds coming up. It can also be children, but I've pulled the children's sector as well, so we can tune into that at a moment. The way you feel about this situation, you know, you're doubtful, you're scared. But again, that's quite natural. You need to be gentle with yourself at the moment because we all are in assessment state. And again, I will say it is not meaning that there's no movement. It's meaning we are assessing who we've become, who they've become, what we would need to do to transform that situation. Don't make a final decision. Be a sponge. Absorb the information. Keep yourself grounded where you can. More information's coming. What isn't working connected to that is having rose-colored glasses on, okay? You do have to know that the romance is there, but you do also have to love yourself. So either side of the fence needs to have self-love. There also could be another individual that potentially you're thinking about. While you're thinking in two domains, for those of you who that's relevant, it tends to push the pause button. So really step back and assess why that's coming up. When it does come to karmics and children, or if you've got, you know, a karmic energy directly connected, or children directly connected, masculine or feminine, what is working is knowing that there is going to be a change for the better for your future and for your children. So that's working for you, working in that area, placing your energy in that area. That is going to help you physically move forward to help balance the situation out. There's a lot of base chakra going on. But stop looking at it as this is your karma, okay? Stop looking at it like that, because that's going to be what blocks you. Just be gentle. Allow the past to be the past. Try and work on that energy. We can't make the world a perfect place, especially not for our children, but we can take the new day for today. A lot of us at the moment, which I will be adding into the collective energy read, sometimes we tend to overcompensate because we're rectifying childhood wounds. We can't do that because we can't turn time back. It almost feels like a funeral because we're sort of getting this bittersweet nostalgic energy coming through going, hey, some dreams we can't have. Perhaps we did want that to be perfect, and it's the realization that perhaps that can't be so. We can't turn time back, but we are moving forward, and we can take today for that better day. So it's to be forgiving towards yourself, but don't carry that burden. We can't make it better, but we can get to a point where we can be the spiritual grounded ones to help the children cope. We can't, how do I put it? You can't change who the other person is, but you can just be yourself and be okay with that. We can't make the world a perfect place, but we can lead by example. Other people, how they're directly affecting you at the moment. But this is in a benefit way. They're having compassion and understanding towards you through what you've gone through. So there can be some friends that move towards you to be really of assistance right now. And it may be that you need to network, and it might be you need to purge and communicate to gain a different perspective to help you understand what to do from here. Anyone who's unwilling to actually deal with your opinion, it's because we all collectively are forming a new opinion about what we feel is correct. You must come back to yourself, okay? If your twin's not willing to work with you right now, it's because there's something that's going on that is not finalized right now, and they're actually doing you a favor. Trust in that process. Don't think that there's no movement forward. This month it is shaping movement forward, but it's trying to be comfortable with that process. Okay, some of you may feel that with everything that's going on, it's hindering the process with your twin. There can be some things that you're trying to balance out with your twin flame, but at the same time, don't get too in the thick of, look, it hasn't worked before, so how is it going to work? There's a lot of things that are changing. It's very frightening at the moment, but what's not working for you is getting that opinion because you're co-creating that. You've got to step back. The unseen of what you're not seeing is whatever's taken from you, it's divinely guided, but it's always replaced. If you have any pain body experience that is telling you it's going to be taken from me, the love of my life is going to be taken from me. Every time I get in this connection, it's taken. You're manifesting that, but something's going to come in to actually help you purge that. And it can be a pain body experience that comes up and you're like, oh God, I really don't like that feeling, you know. When it does, it's not there to punish you. It's there to help you release it. It's like a battle with the ego. We're fighting with it. And when we can actually come to that place and go, This is exhausting. I just need to let this go because this third eye thing that I'm doing right here is like, it's exhausting. You release it. So if it does come in, no, you haven't done. But I will be coming back shortly again, and I'm going to be doing the masculine and the feminine today as well. But I'm a bit behind. I've had a lot of things going on this morning. It is changing regardless. Okay, your twin knows that they have to work with you as a team. Okay? And this has been coming up for feminines a lot. Patience. This is an interesting paradigm that's been coming up. It's almost like saying, how do I put it? And this is the one most loathed word for feminines because we have had a lot of patience. The interesting thing is that the patience energy, it's not telling you to be patient. It's that, yes, it's changing. That you don't need to do anything on your side of the fence. This is a process. Think about it. Think outside the box. Sometimes when we see toxic situations, we're like, oh, God, it's going to be like that. No, perfect. Because who can live in a toilet? Nobody can. So at some point, it's going to start smelling, I'm just saying, and they're going to get the bloody hell out. If you can smell a rat and you can see a situation and it's toxic, it's going to dissolve. Because it's like a pressure cooker. It's the solution, not the problem. The problem's deeper down. That's pain body experience, childhood. Get out of your heads, feminine, okay? A solution's coming. It's outside of you. It's outside of your power. You never needed to do anything. You energetically grew, changed, assisted, and look, the energies can jump, okay? So this may be the masculine's energy. There may be whoever is most blocked or dealing with aspects of conflict and old karma, both sides of the fence. Whatever's coming up is to release it. You've got to trust in that. Sometimes it doesn't need to be anything you need to do. It's going, give it to universe and sit back and try and watch the show. Get a bag of popcorn, as my girlfriend Lauren says. Get a bag of popcorn and enjoy the show. Okay, twins feeling very scared that things are going to be taken from them. Again, pain body experience. Energies can jump back and forth. So this could be you, Pisces, or it can be your counterpart. One of you are dealing with wounds of abandonment. It's moving through very sharply, though. So they're having this epiphany. I'm scared that you're going to be taken from me. That can be positive. Sense of value, sense of worth, appreciation. I'm telling you, abandonment, energies of theft, energies of things being taken away, sick of the Ferris wheel, imagining how life really could be, wanting to really talk about this, how it makes them feel, that perhaps they didn't open up because they were always scared that they weren't worthy of that. And that really is an energy that's coming up at the moment. You know, you're feeling everything's imbalanced and you want some sense of balance back and justice. And it can be that you're dealing with a legality at the moment. And again, it can bounce back and forward. And you just want this karmic end to be balanced and over. And you think, come on, laws of the universe, what's going on here? There is going to be, you can energetically, the one who is the biggest empath in the connection, and don't outrule masculine to be that. Both of you are. But if you're following your intuition, you can sense a storm is brewing. Trust in your intuition, but it's not negative, it's positive. Because this is going to help free your twin to a point they can actually be open towards you. Okay, try not to manipulate each other. And it's really interesting. It may have been that a conversation is going to come up whereby this happened in the past. And you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to play this Ferris wheel. Let's just be straight shooters with each other. This was my pain body experience, and they will then communicate theirs. Even just acknowledging it is enough, even if you're not in communication. Being honest with self, okay? Trying to get centered through that pretense and that thought process is difficult, but you're going to get to it. Know your independence. Have your own light. Know that that attracts. Like attracts like. You want the twin to come in high vibration? Get into high vibration. Blimmin' hard during Mercury retrograde this transit. It's horrendous, but you can do it. It's coming. Okay. this is an interesting card, separation. Now, again, your twin is experiencing abandonment-related issues. That's why this is coming up, okay? So it's a bit like universe puts us in the naughty corner and goes, oh, were you afraid of that? We're going to give that to you so you can actually have a look in the mirror with that. And it's not to punish you. It's there for you to release it, because there's no such thing as separation. We're all interconnected. But we're disconnected from ourselves. And while we're disconnected from ourselves, we can never be connected to another, because we won't have the unconditional love. We won't have the external perspective. And we can't get to a place where we feel safe, because every bloody thing that happens in a twin flame journey triggers us. So the more we purge, it's to help you, not punish you. Okay, some of you are dealing with assets at the moment. And again, you know, it's relevant because we have the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. We've got the moon that's coming into Libra. We've got the shadow aspect of Chiron and Aries. We're going to deal with things in a very forthright way. You're going to find communication is going to be very similar to a Libra. But because we're coming from sense of self with both masculine and feminines, everyone collectively is going to be like, look, I see your perspective. I also have to see mine. I love you, but I love me as well, and I have to respect me. So it's finding that healthy compromise. It can be heated conversations, but you need to come to a temporary stance where you watch this transition. I am feeling this will move into mid-April, some of this frequency, but I do feel between the 19th moving all the way through to the 23rd, it's going to be extremely interesting energy. Yes, but some of the things I've mentioned is collective as well. So it will relate to, you know, how we all vibrationally can look at things. And again, you could have Pisces in your chart somewhere, which will more deal with other areas. But regardless, you know, I will be doing the masculine and the feminine separately, just as collective energy. The next one I'm going to be doing is Sagittarius, and then we can get on to the collective readings. But I do have someone here, so I've got to go for 5, and I'll come straight back and we will do Sagittarius. If you're wanting a booking, the link is below. There's also the special that I'm going to have on Facebook, very similar to YouTube Super Chat. The tickets are purchasable on the website. If you do wish to be part of it, you know, and you've got one area, I've now created a form on the website where you can fill it out, have the question, so I can just directly look at it and click down. And yes, there are emergency readings, other readings. It's not like other channels where you've got to wait 3 months. You can get a reading on the day, as well as video, email, Skype, telephone. So, yep. Otherwise, if you're wanting something of a different style, just inbox me and I'll touch base with you.